I'd like to absolutely and positively endorse the Minister's comments about the Observatory and Wellington in general. It has been a passage of real bipartisanship in terms of this bill going through the Select Committee. As the Minister said, the Select Committee did not receive any submissions but felt that it was better to go out and seek some submissions to at least inform the committee that we were and to make it the legislative process more rigorous and ensure that we were in fact heading in the right track. And those 3 submissions that came back endorsed that absolutely. It was a very good spirit led in the Select Committee, led very ably by Alan Peachey, and I think that, as the Minister just said, the bill means it will progress through the parliamentary process. And I have to say, it's times like these, in many ways, that you realise how long the Parliament takes to see something like this, which was really talked about in 2006, and here we are in 2010, still talking about it. I've watched with everyday eager anticipation the climbing of the Carter Observatory Repeal bill up the order paper, only to see it every now and then fall to the bottom. And that has disappointed the many hundreds of people who have written to me in submissions and emails supporting and saying, what has happened to the Carter Observatory Repeal bill? I'm not mocking the people who got behind this, the observatory. I just reflecting on the length of time it takes to move something which has complete support within the House. And as the Minister just said, really in some ways rubber stamps what is already happening on the ground in terms of what has actually happened and what needs to happen. The decision, the repeal bill decision, was really based a lot on the report, as been said in the first reading, by Michael Bessell in the Ministry of Science, Research and Technology in 2008. And he made a number of recommendations about the bill and set out some key roles of what he thought a national observatory should do, because remember, this is the Carter Observatory was in fact the national observatory of New Zealand. What he felt was that the Carter Observatory was not really meeting the functions of a national observatory, and on that basis recommended that it was really fulfilling an educational and perhaps a touristic role rather than a real science role, and as a result felt that it was better suited being within the Wellington City Council rather than being a national observatory. I mean, and it's important to say, as I think the Minister intimated, that there is still real interest in astronomy in our communities. And this will and does enhance our understanding of science, particularly amongst our young people, but obviously others as well, in a real and positive way within our communities. The feeling was that much of the other scientific work was actually best posited with the University of Canterbury at the Mount John Observatory. It was perceived that observatory was really the major player on the national and international scene in terms of its scientific role. And Canterbury has always welcomed outsiders, both from other universities and from other experts, to come in and share that observatory from Victoria University, from Otago University and Auckland universities. So in a sense we're not losing anything here, we're in a sense regrouping our resources in a much more sensible and efficient way. I think the Labor government put in, if memory serves me correctly, about $2 million into the observatory, 2.2. And Nathan Guy submitted some lottery money also to supplement the upkeep and the refurbishment of the observatory as well. It's I guess, something of an anticlimax in many ways. This is moving forward. It's an anticlimax, Mr. Speaker, in much the same way as the announcement on Tuesday of the government's science budget announcement. It's the third largest new appropriation in this budget coming up. So important it was that the Prime Minister, John Key, actually announced it early, this piece of positive and new news. Now, there's a feeling within the science community, and certainly to some degree within this House, that science should be treated as a bipartisan issue. But I don't think that an opposition can sit by and look at that miserable amount of money that the government put up in its budget. Miserable amount of money. And I say miserable, Mr. Speaker, and I'll tell you why I say miserable, because it's miserable compared to what was taken away 18 months earlier. The R&D tax credits, Mr. Speaker, the R&D tax credits were delivered at least double of what this government has announced just last week. The tax credits were going to be able to double our science spend in the business community, our R&D spend in the business community. That is gone. What have we got now? We've got a system of vouchers and grants where companies come on their knees to a government bureaucrat.
Order. It's now 10 o'clock and this debate is interrupted.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. This debate is now interrupted and set down for resumption next sitting day. The House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow. Nā reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, ko Mario.